Tommy Richardson, welcome to Security Halt, man. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How you doing?
Doing well, brother. Dude, it's great to see somebody that's out there putting good stuff out in the world, and your career is pretty fucking amazing. It's one thing to become a Navy SEAL, but to go after that dream after almost already having full career in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, I just crayons are tasty, man, and I just didn't know what you're gonna do when you grow up and what you're gonna do with life, man. You gotta change it up a little bit.
Dude, hell yeah, dude. I want to dive into your story, man. I think
Yeah,
that individuals have incredible service records that have endured and have gone through and served have an amazing backstory. It's not always just like the combat glitz and glamour,
yeah,
but on the other side of their service, there's also this great fucking set of tools and blueprint of how to move forward and being authentic. Just like we were joking about earlier, how to make sure that chapter two, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. That's life. But
yeah.
how to make it authentically, uniquely yours. And when I look at everything about you, from powerlifting to divine savagery, like it's everything seems to be in line with who you are and what your purpose is. So today, my man, we're diving into your journey.
All
Where
right.
did Tommy get the idea to become a Marine?
Family, man. It was just one of those things. A lot of my family were prior Marines, and that had kind of gotten pushed into that's the direction to go. It's the whole first to fight bit, and it was always a really patriotic family. And we grew up. I grew up hunting with my dad and my grandfather and my uncles, and it was just that. I mean, they were all Marines, and they went, "Hey, man, maybe you ought to go try this out." And we had one guy on my mom's side that was kind of seen as the Captain America of the family, lot of respect. And I was, I grew up in a let's call it a little bit harsh environment. And it was one of those things where it's like, hey, man, if I'm going to get respect, that's what I'm going to do. So I cruised into the Marine Corps, and that was it, man.
Yeah. For a lot of times when you have that lineage, there it seems like there's no other option. Like mom, father, brother, uncle, like down the line. If everybody does it, man, I can't be the only one out. I can't be the odd man out.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess it was just about respect. I mean, it was a weird time in the 80s, man. And I got like really horribly bullied. And it was back then, it wasn't just turn off and off button, and
Yeah. Yep.
jobs. It was like every day you're facing it at school. You're getting beat down, thrown into lockers, thrown into dumpsters. Just it was absolutely brutal. And just because of the way that I looked at the time, I was kind of a lightning rod for that to happen.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where I had a decision to make of, am I going to cave and believe everything that everybody's telling me that I'm nothing, or am I going to turn it around? And eventually it's just one of those things. It's you just get sick of it. And it's kind of interesting that in the Marine Corps, there's a saying that the beatings will continue until morale improves.
Morale improves.
Yeah. So, so that quite literally happened to me. So it's just a matter of me making the choice. And I wanted to get respect first in my family. And I was like, well, I'll look to the one everybody looks to. And I wanted to follow his career path. I mean, he was the intel guy, and then he cruised in. He was actual plank owner of the hostage rescue team.
Oh
With
shit.
yeah. Started in '83, I believe. But and I wanted to go that route. But man, it's something at old entry level training, man. The senior drill instructor is just going, "What's your MOS going to be?" And just something hit me and went, you know what, man? I'm gonna make my own path. I want to go infantry. So let's rock and roll. And this is pre-war. This is '98. So.
Yeah. It's a whole different Marine Corps, whole different military back then that a lot of people don't realize. So people are getting a little bit of taste of it right now, but it's like sort of like that hybrid space. But dude, the 80s and 90s was different, man. Like you weren't guaranteed a slot in the combat, and it was very much drill and ceremony, performance based, like old school fucking soldiering and marine time.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too where we were coming out of Desert Storm, and so we were getting a lot of those guys as our instructors. So and then before that, you've got the Grenada,
Yeah.
and then before that it's Vietnam era. But I mean, Vietnam being the last big war that happened, I say that just because Desert Storm was so much of an overwhelming victory. Not to say bad stuff that went on, because I mean,
Yeah.
it was still combat, but those were the guys that were looking at us. It was a different time. And yeah, I guess we're kind of there now. Except you've got now veterans teaching, veterans of the GWAT, that actually were in a whole bunch of sustained combat for years, training guys. So I would equate it more to a Vietnam era or a post Vietnam right now as far as the mindset, and it's tough, man. I mean, we can get into all that. It's
Yeah.
a separate conversation about the mentality and where things are now, but it was very different back then for sure.
No. And cutting your teeth in that type of military, it certainly teaches you discipline and how to do a lot of marching.
Yeah, it's funny how stuff kind of moves to administration.
Yeah.
When I think it would be tailored more towards, combat, which, it was. I mean, how it is entry level training and follow on training. It's all about, doing the combat piece because that's what your MOS is. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, there is a little bit more focus about, it was back then we had to actually iron our camis,
Yeah.
shining your boots, shining all your stuff up, having the junk on the bunk inspections and all that stuff, which, I mean, there's a time and a place for discipline. I totally get it. But for me, more of an emphasis on the stuff that's going on in the field. Of course, they say there's a garrison Marine and a field Marine. Well, it's just a Marine. You're either good at what you do or you're not,
Yeah. And then I have to imagine like that, the coming from that background of being the picked on kid, going into the Marine Corps, and I see it with my own friends that had that similar background of like, man, like I'm getting shit on as a kid. Fuck this. I'm going to go to the military, I'm going to the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Like, how did that mindset shift? Like once you made it through basic and training, did you see yourself kind of like looking back? Do you see yourself like, okay, that's when I shifted from being like the kid that felt like he was always going to have to like prove himself, always having to dodge the bigger guys, to like that scrappy fighter?
It it was interesting, man. Golly, the mindset change honestly happened with the guy that was training me. I was very fortunate before going in, like fully, truly going in to active duty. Is the same dude that trained. I trained with the Luttrells growing up, and
oh no shit.
yeah. So yeah, Billy Shelton, if you saw the
yeah,
that first picture page, that's me in it with them.
Oh wow.
But yeah, so it kind of got beat into us. And it was one of those things where that's kind of really where my mind shift change happened, because he was hard on us, but he was hard on us because he actually cared. And it was one of those things where, the twins had the reputation of already being the tough guys, and I was like the exact opposite. So with that, I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. So then it just became one of those things where we're just like, I'm gonna let you beat me. What? And it was just like, no. And then that's kind of where the internal hardening and the mental fortitude, it already happened, because I think the fortitude actually comes from all of the hard stuff that happens to you, right?
Absolutely. You can't build resilience in a vacuum without being tested.
No, not at all. Not at all. You can't do it as a bubble boy, man. So it was just everything that he taught us in the lessons after the workouts and the beatings and stuff there, in a good way. But then the three of us, it taught teamwork, because it was one of those things where it kind of became an us versus him. In the beginning, it was a us versus us thing, but then it was weird how through that adversity, we all got really, really tight. And I think that was like the grandioso plan, because it was like weed out all non-hackers, and then everybody that could hack it go. And then when he sent all of us, they went Navy. Marcus left first, but they went Navy, and then I went Marines, and that mentality was what kind of pushed through everything. Now I have my struggles, right? Just like everybody did. Like I was horrible at pull-ups because I was, really, really tall, super long arms, and really bad at it. I could do push-ups for days. I could run for whatever reason. I got blessed with the ability to run, but it was, I struggled at pull-ups, so that was my thing. Entry-level training was getting, harassed for that. But the cool part about it is, again, it's one of those things that just made me stronger, and I already had the mentality. So it was one of those things where, if I came up against something tough, I would go back to those times in that front yard at that bed and breakfast in Conroe, Texas, of us getting beat on and going, I'm not going to lose for them, and it's kind of cool, because that's really the mentality that goes on, because even if you don't understand what the mission is overseas or things like that, you don't really get what's going on at the political levels or at the strategic levels. And you're just going, well, I'm just going to do it for these guys. That's why. And it breeds a selfless mentality, and it really gives and drives home a purpose that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard for people that haven't served to understand that sentiment of, we don't understand the political sphere. We don't understand what the fuck's happening behind the scenes, but we're here.
Yeah.
We're men of service. We're in combat, and I'm doing it for the guy to the left and right of me. I need to be my absolute best. And that's a hard thing to explain to people because they think that we're ignorant and, oh, you're not informed. How could you be fighting in this war? It's like, well, look, man, like warrior's calling is a timeless thing. Like if it wasn't your path, it's not your path, but that's certainly our path. That's certainly what we chose to do in life. And if we're going to do it, we're going to do it fucking really, really well.
Right.
And when it comes down to it, to the, you know, when you're in that path, when you're actually in the shit, you're doing it for the people that are next to you. You want to be the best capable individual because you don't want to be the person that's the weakest chain in the link. You want to be the absolute best. And it's so hard to explain that to people.
You're exactly right, man. Because why would I want to have to wake up and stare at myself in the mirror every day, knowing that I could have done something, I could have trained a little bit harder, or something that I could have done to save that individual? You know, it's a survivor's guilt, right?
Yep.
But at the same time, you know, you can call it guilt or whatever, but it's just like to me, I think it's God pulling on your heartstrings. It's like, bro, you should have done something. And what we should do, and what I always tell a lot of people, and especially young kids, you know, before I was getting out, because my God, I became the dinosaur I never said I would. You know,
24 years, man. You had a long run, brother.
26 and change. 26 and change.
Oh, it's 26?
Yeah. So dumb to quit, man. But yeah, it was just, man, it was just talking to the folks and telling the kids, like, you have to study your history. You know, I mean, everybody says don't look back, but at the same time, everybody went through all that stuff to teach you to do better and be better. And that's the only way that you're going to elevate your game. You know, if you don't know where you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. So learn from those mistakes so they're not repeated in blood, because most likely that's what's going to end up happening. And that's why I was told the guys was to read, understand where you're going, understand the culture, understand the people. The more that you can get ahead, if you're not the first one in, then talk to the people that are already over there, right? So it's almost like you're doing your right seat, left seat rides before going over into combat. And I mean, it's up to you to learn as much as you possibly can about an area that you're going to go, because why? The stakes are so high. You know, I go and talk to all these, you know, professional athlete teams and things like that. And I try to relate it, but you can't. And one of the first things I tell the guys is, I'm like, look, I say I'm talking to an NFL team, right? And I say, hey, you guys are at the pinnacle of your sport. What gives me the right to tell you how to do anything? Why? Because I'm going to tell you right now, look to whoever your teammate is. And I'll say, you know, break out like, okay, who's the quarterback, right? Usually the highest paid guy, leader of the team. All right, where's the backup kicker? All right. Will you lay down your life for him right now? Active shooter comes in. Will you jump in front of a bullet for that guy? Nobody ever says yes. I'll do that immediately. That's the difference between me and you. And that's why I have the ability to come here, because I play at the highest stakes, and I've played at the highest stakes. So I'm helping you to understand your craft a little bit better by trying to elevate your game to be the best that you can be. And with a team sport, it's very, very simple, because it's just teaching them the guy on your left, the guy on your right. It matters, because what are you going for? You're going for the win. Stakes aren't as high. Yeah, you can start over. But if you think like they're not, who knows? And then who knows, man? Maybe that person, if something happens out in the real world, you know, God forbid they get attacked or something like that, that clicks in their mind, and then they can become that protector that they should be.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we give back.
Yeah. We tend to forget that the warrior culture can inspire, mentor, and coach anybody.
Yeah,
it's not just relegated. It's not just relegated to other. Like, I can get so much benefit from talking to you all day, but the same can be said if we break off and start helping and coaching, mentoring other individuals within our own space that don't have the background in military, or maybe they do, but just not the long careers to match. Right. Brotherhood is not just relegated to the military.
No, it absolutely can be taught, and I think that's what is a good platform for, at least for what I'm doing in the business world, right? In the business world, or in sports, or anywhere, anybody that wants to hire and come talk to me. And that's kind of where I'm going to come from, because I used to be that guy that was like, I'm only going to talk about it around the boys, around the fire, eating meat, doing man stuff. It's going to be great, right? And that's it. I'm going to go internal, just like, you know, what we learned from the Vietnam guys. But, you know, it's one of those things. I was just sitting there in prayer one day, and it's like, look, man, and good Lord was telling me, look, man, I didn't put you through all this stuff to keep it to yourself. Right.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's like, you got to do it the right way. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. You do it to glorify him and be able to tell the bravery of the men that you served with and what it takes in order to survive in the ultimate environment. right? In the arena, the actual arena.
Yep.
So to do that, that's where all of your stories came from, because you know as well as I do, man, truth is stranger than fiction. So it's being able to take those truths, bringing them out, and that way people don't have to have this romanticized Hollywood view of what it is that we did, because it wasn't. I mean, even in the beginning, you said the glitz and glam of combat. Really? How
Yeah.
much glitz and glam is that really? None.
Yeah.
Zero. Zilch. Nothing. It's harsh. It's hard. It's tough. And we get trained by the hardest and the best for a reason, so that we can survive and then come back and still kind of have all of our stuff together. Not that we do in the beginning anyways,
Sort
but
of.
at least ish, right? But at least be able to come back and share those types of experiences to hopefully uplift other people, so they can become they are the protected people, but to understand who it is that's fighting for them, and then to elevate their lives to go, you know what, maybe what's going on around me isn't so bad, and there is a way out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why our society moved away from it, but now it's something that I love to talk about, because we don't embrace it enough, and that's faith. Like the pillars that we stand on, mind, body, and spirit, like those are easily eroded. Body and mind quickly go with deployments, long careers, but I've said it so many times. The guys that, when I look back and do like the memory PDSS, if
Yeah.
you will, looking back at like all the people that did succeed, the guys that whose marriages stayed together, the guys that didn't have, maybe they did have injuries, maybe they did fall apart, the body didn't hold out.
Right.
They bounced back a lot faster because
Right.
they had that one pillar that was never questionable, and that was faith.
Yeah.
And that's something that when I do these interviews, I'm always like, I'm finding more people that maybe they didn't have what they served. Maybe they found it afterwards, and it became something that they built slowly and made it the strongest pillar, because it's the one thing we can always turn to. So one thing that when your back sucks and you can't lift, when you're depressed because you can't run, and your mind, your cognitive abilities are a little bit shaken up because you've taken one too many hits to the head,
Sure.
you got faith. You can lean on something strong. Did you always have this pillar? Was it a part of you that was built as a child, or was it something that you had to develop through service and afterwards?
I think it's a constant journey. I think that we were given one perfect example of how it is that we're supposed to be, and that's in Jesus. And if you look at all the individuals in the Bible, every last one of them were flawed, and every last one of them messed up, and messed up big. But what it
Yeah.
was showing is that when you mess up, you can repent and go back to Him. As long as you've got breath in your lungs and beat going in your heart, you can still turn to Him, right? And and the thing is, there's a reason that it's the most sought after, or like lightning rod punch to the face, and the only thing that's acceptable. Why? Well,
Yeah.
because the way, the truth, and the life, right? If you want true joy and true peace, you're going to find it there, regardless. Okay, and to me, it's absolute. It's sanctification, right? You're becoming more and more like Him as best you possibly can, but through the routes
Yep.
that He gave you and the gifts that you were given. Right. So yeah, it's absolutely grown over time. I've absolutely backslid. I am a dadgum chief of sinners, and I absolutely do not deserve His grace. Right. But the fact of the matter is that knowing that I could always go back to Him no matter what, because it's just like being a kid. You're going to mess up over and over again. But what do you do as a father? Do you hate them? No, absolutely not. You love them so much to correct them, punish if needed, and then course correct. That's it.
Yep.
And that's where accountability happens. So no, it actually grew over time. I got saved in my early 20s when I was in the Marine Corps. But yeah, man, it just grew over time. And that's another part of the stories that I share with people too, about the power of prayer and what God can do and manifest Himself in the actual physical, that it's not just something that, everybody calls it the man in the sky or whatever. No, he's Jesus is alive. He's an actual part of your life, and you should make Him a Lord of your life. Why? Because heck, I want to see all you guys in heaven, man. I want to go full on. And you talk about the difference of what, your mind and your body fading. Well, you're talking about the flesh versus the spirit. And that's why there's that constant battle, right? Between the flesh and the spirit. The spirit is eternal, and the flesh knows it, because the flesh knows it's going to die. So it's going to scrape, beg, borrow, steal at everything that it can for self-seeking pleasure, immediate pleasure right in the moment, in order to somehow fill a hole that only God can fill, right? that's why you see all these really high up, great, glitzy, glammy people have horrible lives. They're like, well, how can they? Well, because money and fame and power doesn't breed happiness. You think it does, but it doesn't, right? But you learn to live in joy, and that's kind of where the cool part about the military is, right? You rejoice in the suffering and in the tribulation, because you know that your perseverance is being tested. And then it becomes, well, where's the next one coming? And that's the whole, part where I said, my raise your horn speech, right? And that, well, my tagline or whatever, it's from the Bible, man, right? It means bring it. Whatever you got coming today, it's a daily fight. Come at it and let's rock and roll. And you know what? Let's bring some people along and make this happen. And make it a team fight. But no, man, there's so many different times where, and I have multiple different stories to where he's manifested himself in the physical, saved our lives plenty of times, man. It's just crazy. I mean, to the point, right? Afghanistan, right? So every fob we ever went to, I always prayed on. We get to the spot. First thing I'd do is drop all my gear if we had nothing going, and then I'd go put my hands around the side of it and pray about safety and protection, right? And we had this one deployment where 3 days after I left, the B huts that we had, the little constructed huts that we lived in, it got rocketed, and right where I was staying, where my bed was, got blown to pieces.
No shit.
Everybody in there would have died 3 days after we left, right? Fortunately, everybody was at chow at the time, and that everybody was okay. But it's just interesting, and it kind of makes you think. I mean, I got one of my troop chief, man. We were on a helo route on Blackhawk, man, and looking down and seeing a guy actually, because we were so low to the ground, it was near Pulley Alam in Logar, and I saw a guy come out with an RPG, launch it at us, and I looked at him and I said, "Hey, man, we're about to get hit." And he goes, "What?" And, you can barely hear because they're out inside of it. Everybody, in the movies they think like we can actually talk to each other, but unless we have mics, you can't.
Yeah.
So anyway, I look and it shoots, and dude, I can see the vapor trail behind it after it pops, and it at like right the last second, it just went underneath us, and it blew up on the other side. And he saw it and went, "Whoa!" And I went, "Yeah, that's what I was talking about." But all these little things, man. Even in Iraq, same thing. And I had a guy. One of the cats pied the corner because they were discovering that they could hide within the masses, and popped the corner, shot an RPG. And this was back when we had thin-skinned vehicles, right? The only thing there was the glass. That was we'll say bullet resistant. But we only had the 1/4-inch steel doors, right? And it was the old school doors that didn't even have the windows. So
man.
Yeah, this was 04. This is Fallujah, man. So so anyway, he popped it, and the guy behind me teed me up on the green gear, and he was like, "Hey, man, you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." "Why?" He goes, "Well, because you just got hit by an RPG." I was like, "We didn't feel anything." He goes, "Yeah, it hit your door and bounced off." I went, "What?" Sure enough, man, as soon as we parked and finished our patrol, I get out and there's a little hole, right? Little tip where it hit but didn't explode, right? So it's just little things like that, and I've got that throughout my whole career. Happened in Haiti, happened just stories after stories after stories of His grace and His glory to an undeserving person, but somebody that would have come back and tell the stories, right?
Yeah.
And it's just over and over again. So yeah, it's absolutely grown it to the point to where it's like when He said, "Give your heart to Him," you really got to give it all over. But when you do, oh my word, bro, it's freedom. Absolute freedom. It's freedom, it's joy, it's peace, all the fruits of the Spirit. It's a thing. It's an absolute thing. You start understanding about what love really is. It doesn't mean do whatever you want, right? No, absolutely not. It means that there's suffering and accountability that go with it. Why? Because that's what love is, and that's what caring is. It goes into that because you're going to have to sacrifice your time, and it's a sacrifice of self, which ties right into teams, especially the spec ops level. You know this well than anybody, right?
Absolutely.
It's absolute selfless behavior. You got to think the mentality of being able to do something, and there's tons of guys that have done it. Never been in that position, but like guys that jump on grenades, guys that jump in front of bullets or do something like that. It's just it's crazy what they'll do. It was one time. Okay, one time I had my platoon chief was in an LTA TV, and we were in a gunfight in Nabahar, and he had driven around because we on our LTA TVs we had mounted the universal flower pots and put the 240s on it, right? So it looks sick, man. Mad Max, all this. Dude, we had one of our CBs put a flower pot in the center, and I got pictures of we mounted a 50 cal to the front, Ma Deuce to the front of the LT. It didn't work so good when the vehicle rolled because it just went boom right in the mud. We're like, okay, we got to fix the weight distribution here, right? So
yeah.
but we figured it out. You just put an extra guy in the ammo boxes back there. It doesn't tilt so much.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was super cool. Anyway, he rolled around to the right flank of where we were getting hit, and he high centered the vehicle, and it sunk down in like that sandy mud. You know how it is when that dust gets wet, right? So it sunk down, and he was calling. They started taking fire, and myself and my JTAC just looked at each other, didn't even think. And all he did, I was yelling Tommy, and then I ran out to him, and it was one of those things where I put my weapon around me, bullets were freaking flying all over the place, got to the front of the vehicle, and it was just, Lord, give me strength. Picked up, deadlifted the front of the vehicle up and out of the where it was stuck. He got traction, turned back around, joined that element, and then started getting back after it, and we ended up winning the day. So it's just that idea of going, I'm going to do whatever, does not matter. I'm going to give my life for yours, and I really will do that when the time comes. And people can say it, but it's just like your first gunfight. I know you remember it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Everybody remembers their first. You never know how you're going to react until you're in it. Because tell me it wasn't different than what you expected.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You think that you're going to have some great tagline from a movie, and you don't have any of that. There's no cool guy. There's no Master Chief saying, like, no, dude, you're in it.
Yeah, that's it. The first one's always the worst and always the scariest, right?
Yeah.
What's interesting, though, is that as you start doing it, the jokes come. Because I can tell many a dark joke during the middle of a gunfight. Most of the time it happened we were on a roof and start getting shot at, right? But the jokes always came later, and that's, of course, how you handle it. And plus, we're hilarious. Let's be real.
Yeah. Dark humor is part of the profession. It is 100% a part of the profession. It keeps you, when you understand why we do it, and it keeps you in the moment. It keeps, and I've seen it with guys that are hurt, guys that are struggling. Like, you interject some humor some humor into the situation. It brings you, okay, we're gonna get out of this. I don't know how we're gonna get out of it yet, but we're gonna get out of
it. And those new guys are scared. I mean, everybody. You're supposed to be real. Everybody's scared. It's just,
everybody.
What do you do with that, right?
Yeah.
So it's us being able to kind of non-verbally tell them this is how we handle things, right? Because it's interesting.
Yeah.
The first gunfight I got in the SEAL teams was much different than the first ones I had in the Marine Corps, right? Where, you've got 18-year-old kids that haven't been trained at the highest level. So they kind of, it was one of those, and it was a time, it wasn't wartime. I'm going into the Corps for something greater than the Corps, kind of like the Foreign Legion, right? It's like, it's jail time or the Marines. That's what you got, right? But those kids would be scared and having, actually listen to a kid scream for his mom in the middle of a gunfight, and he drops his gun and puts his hands over his ears like a child. But usually all it takes back then is just a boot to the head. You run by him, kick him in the head, wake up, come back to us, we need you. And usually that would lock him right back in.
I had one guy run right back into the back of an MRAP, and then the hydraulic doors, how slow they closed. Slowly closes as I'm running towards. Just the slowest, like, fuck you.
Yep.
Like, thanks.
Still here.
Thank you, Jamie Haskett, wherever you are.
Right. They make it out. It provides a funny story, but dead gum.
Oh yeah. The slowest hydraulic door. That's the type of shit that should be in movies, like when people run away.
That's the truth being stranger than fiction, man. It's just like, you can't make this stuff up.
Absolutely.
No idea.
Oh man. Yeah. It's the other thing that is shocking to me is the amount of people that push back on the idea that you can be a man of faith, a man that's deeply trying to live his life right. Like, we're gonna fail each and every day at it, by the way, folks. Like, if you think you're gonna be perfect, like, let me just tell you, you'll forget to pray the rosary. You'll mess up more often than not. But in the military, we have this culture, this idea, like, oh, you can't be a man of faith. We even look down on our some people look down on our chaplains, like, oh man, we don't need faith in this. God's not in this. I'm like, he's very much in this.
Right.
Did you, in your own experience, did you find individuals that were pushing back on your faith or pushing back on the idea of like, oh man, what's up with this guy, like going around blessing things, like stuff's like,
honestly, for me, it was the exact opposite. It was before we go out, and I'm not gonna say I was scared to show it, because it was just, I didn't know how to show it when I was in the Marines, and it wasn't until the teams came along, maybe because I can't even say it. I intensified. It was just different, but it was a different group of guys, or maybe it was just me getting stronger in my faith. I don't know, but I'd go out before every patrol and pray about the boys and lay hands on the vehicles. I'd go out early and pray for all of our protection, and the guys would come out and they'd see me and they'd be like, "Hey man, throw one up for me," and then that was kind of like their, either God's going to sit this one out, or whatever their tough guy tagline was, right?
Yeah. But exactly.
All that is a mask, man. It's a mask from fear and from not understanding the gravity at which this whole thing is and what it's about, man. But I keep telling people, and I tell folks this too, I always say 18 Purple Hearts. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, well, over my 26 years of being in the military, every of the units that I've directly gone out with, 18 Purple Hearts have come out, not one death. Not one. So it's not me, it's the protection.
Yep.
And if you don't realize that and you don't believe in that, I don't know what to do. I mean, there's so much proof. It's like there's been no other proof from any history book as far as the number of corroborations of everything that has happened than the Bible. Even if you don't have faith, it's a historical text. But the fact of the matter is that I don't know of an atheist that read through the Bible and came out an atheist anymore. Right?
Yeah. Or in the middle of a heated firefight,
yeah, it's either a swear word or Jesus that comes out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just, you don't know where you're going to breathe your last breath and where you're going to take your first one, and the next go, but it's going to be one place or the other, man. So it's like, all I can do is tell you and try to show you, the actual joy and relief that, life can be crashing down around you, but it's just like with Job, as I'm still going to praise him. Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing that. We live in a fallen world, and it's the enemy trying to get me to lose my faith when all it is making me stronger. So it's one of those things where you get tested. What's cool is the part when you realize where you're something bad, or you're suffering through something, not because of something that you screwed up and it's pretty much you deserve it, but you're screwing up because of your faith in him, and you realize that's what it is. Then it honestly kind of oddly makes the suffering more fun, because you're like, this ain't me, let's do this. Right.
Joke's on you.
That's
I
right.
live for this
Bring
shit.
it on, son. Try me. Just try.
Dude, that's a perfect mentality for special operations, though. Like, and that's why guys need to understand that your faith or you're wanting to explore your faith isn't going to make you weaker. We have this flawed view of what faith looks like in modern man, and it's all perpetuated. Sorry, I can't talk today. It's all pushed by modern media and depictions of what true faith looks like.
Right.
They don't show a warrior that's bearded out that can squat, 1,000 pounds, barrel chested freedom fighter. We're given these these depictions of men of faith that are either morally corrupted individuals. Once you push back, and it's like, oh man, no, he's a predator, or they're very timid, shy individuals that never rise to the moment. And I'm like, no, that's not true. Some of the strongest individuals I've ever met in the special operations community, they finally show what makes them strong. And it's that they have a lot of them don't drink, which is it's amazing. Yeah. They don't drink.
They don't. I stopped.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Same here.
Like I
but
said,
they do things. Yeah, exactly. They do things like explore their life and realize, you know what, this giving this up is going to bring me closer to God and it's going to make me a better father. So I'm going to walk away from it. Like that, our faith isn't a weakness.
Right.
Explore it, lean into it, be willing to ask questions. Like it, I get it. Some people grew up with the church and it was presented in the wrong way. Like be willing to explore it for yourself. If your parents or somebody pushed it on you, understand that was a moment in time back in the day. Be willing to be strong, be willing to dive into this, because what I realized, like I shared earlier, when I was going through my struggles, like I tried hard to work on the mind and the body as much as I can and just tried healing that, tried working through that. And modern medicine, while it's wonderful, it's great, did a lot of great things. But let me tell you, it didn't do shit for a lot of the pain. It
Yeah.
didn't do anything for the pain. So I had to come up with something else to help me understand that pain is a part of life. And modern medicine doesn't do a good job of that. It says, here, drink this, take this, and we're going to get rid of all the pain. We're going to get rid of all the pain. And then that slowly leads you down a really dark path. Like faith will tell you that you were built to endure this. Life's not about lollipops, sunshines, and rainbows. And you can have peace and understanding that, like, okay, this is pain. This is what I'm going through, but that's okay because I'm built for it. I'm built different. He's got me. And before you know it, like you put your faith and trust in him, and you're going to start getting you're going to go from places where you felt like maybe you couldn't walk, you couldn't work out. And I know it sounds hokey. I get it. I get the pushback. I can already imagine the comment section, and that's okay.
Don't care.
Put your faith and trust in God and start putting things together that really truly help you. Like you're going to see things change, and it's understanding that there's 3 pillars and you got to work on it: mind, body, and spirit. And for a lot of us, it's that spirit piece. It just is so damn hard. It really is.
But there's a reason why it's hard. There's a reason, because it's so much more worth it in the end. Think about it. Everything great you ever get in your life, that's usually when you've worked the hardest for. Why is it so easy to work the mind and body? Because, like I said, that's going to die. It's the flesh.
Yeah.
The flesh is the easy way out. What's the hard one? You said it right there. That's the eternal one. But which one has more important to it, right? And I'll tell you, I heard this, and I share this with other people, is like the only thing that you can take with you to heaven is your family or your friends. It's people. It's not stuff. Now, I'm not saying that God wants you to be poor. He doesn't. He told us he wants the absolute best for us. But at the same time, there was what, Jesus was telling us about it being easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into heaven. Well, he spoke into parables to keep people guessing and have them, kind of confused, mostly the non-believers, because they're just like, well, that's impossible. I'm going to go do my own thing. But it's like, well, where's the faith in that, right? What he was trying to say is that because it's a rich man and Lazarus, right? Because Lazarus he raised from the dead. But the problem is that the rich folks, a lot of problem, they get all this money, they get all this power, and they don't need God anymore. Even if they did, right? At one point, they're like, well, I did this on my own. And that goes back to your point, right? Of why it's so hard in the military. It's because you think you're in control. And you think that, yes, you're going to have to beat on your craft, and yes, you're going to have to hone your skills. But at the same time, that's the physical and mental part. That's not the spiritual part. You add that spiritual component to it, and like you said yourself right there, you become the strongest version of yourself. You absolutely will. It's going to be the hardest. You're going to get hit the most. You're going to suffer more, right? But you got to think about it, right? What is life? Life's a proving ground for eternity. What's more important? 80 to 100 years or forever?
Yep.
Right? So why not give your heart over into something that cares enough about you to go, I'm going to make it right for you forever, but you're going to have to go through some stuff. Yep. And because we live in a fallen world, because of the problem of us knowing the knowledge of good and evil, right? It's just going to happen. But the fact of the matter is that there is a distinct enemy out there. And that enemy, all it wants is for you to be separate from God. And it will do anything it can to take you from him. Yeah. And you have to fight back. The strongest I've ever been, the best I've ever felt, has been when I've been at the strongest in my faith. Right? Yeah, I remember that feeling when I graduated Buds, right? 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Well, you may have been 10 foot tall, but you weren't bulletproof, right? You're still a man, you're still going to bleed, and you still can die, and you still will die. But if you're not working on the part that's eternal, That's the part that needs to strengthen. I'm not saying don't strengthen mind and body. I'm saying it all works together. He gave you the temple. This is the temple for the Holy Spirit, right? So you have to take care of it. And he gave us the ability to understand science so we can better understand him, right? He's not against science. It's just don't make that your God.
Yeah.
Right? It's your ability to learn and make ourselves better. That's where medicine goes. Medicine's great. It's fantastic. It's awesome for certain things. But at the same time, like you said, that pain, that overcome. I've had multiple surgeries, right? That I shouldn't have come back from, and doctors said you can't do it. I had knee surgery that said you'll never walk again. I had shoulder surgery. Oh, you'll never overhead press again. I had brain surgery. Oh, you're going to be an invalid. You're probably going to be blind or have all these other problems that comes with that. Dude, I don't care. It's just another hurdle. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
What are you going to allow? And you know what? If something bad does happen, I don't care. Because I'm going to use whatever that is as a story for his glory, right?
Absolutely.
To show you that no matter what, as long as you have the right mentality and the right mindset that's in congruency with a healthy body and spirit, dude, you're literally unstoppable. I talk about the will, right? Because everybody talks about mindset. Oh, mindset. Well, me, it was more like I grew up watching Rocky. It's about your heart, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's I just call it the super highway between the heart and the mind. Therein lies the will, and the will is indestructible. Well, what's the will and right snap linked in with? The spirit, the soul. It's eternal, right? But they all work together, and they can.
Yeah.
If not, they're going to work apart from each other. But the spirit has to keep the other two together. And that's what's going to really make you strong and really make you be able to get through whatever's thrown at you. Because you can. But if you don't believe it, and if you don't have your heart in the right place, it's not going to happen. And you're going to wither away. It's just like just with the Christ in the church, right? The tail's going to follow the head. But it has to follow it. Just like with your body, right? Wherever your mind and heart go, that's where everything else is going to follow. So it's up to you. Everything's a choice. He loves us so much that he gave us the choice to be apart from him if we want. But he doesn't want that. He wants us to be all apart, or all apart together as a group, right? He wants us to be together as a group. So why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? It's a winning fight. The fight's already won. Why wouldn't you want to be a part of the big team, the big win, right? It's going to take a fight. And that's the thing, is that sometimes your fight and struggle with the spirit may be stronger and harder than the fight that we had in combat, right? Because you're battling different things that are just in the moment. It's the most impossible thing ever, and you feel like you can't beat it. And it literally is life or death, because you're talking about eternity, and it's that choice you make. But he gives you the choice. You have to make that choice. But the only way that you can get stronger in the spirit is to seek him more. The less I noticed in my life, especially, the more times that I would start to think that I'm in control and I can do all this stuff, and started leaning on my own understanding, which he says, lead not on your own understanding. Weird. It's like you never do. Like that's when the wheels started to fall off, and I was too dumb, too arrogant, too prideful to realize it. And I can't tell you how many lessons I've learned the hard way, right? But because I always went back to him, and he knew that, and he had a plan for me, he kept me alive for whatever reason. And I know what the reason is. It's your mission and purpose, right? It's to spread the word and to show people what love really is. Right?
Absolutely.
Regardless. That's why, it's one of those things. What I hear a long time ago with the social media stuff was, you don't know you're succeeding unless you've got haters, and then don't ever read the comments. Dude, I love it. Bring it. It's great, because, and the thing is that I'm not going to fight back, because I'm going to fight back with what God told me love is supposed to. Because chances are, if someone's lashing out, the thing I learned a long time ago when I was getting bullied is that those people are hurting.
Oh yeah.
They to feel better by making somebody else feel weaker. Right? Because but where did that come from? It came from someone that didn't train them right and didn't really show them what love really was. So in order to do that, and now with the background and I guess the look or whatever, it helps people go, well, maybe there is something to this. Right? Maybe there's something to this. Right? I try my best to be the strongest and best man that I possibly can be for God and the family. So with that, I'm going to show other people that's what that's like, because you know how it is. Everybody, we're very, very visual individuals, right? People are in general. and they see a look and they automatically think something about somebody. They have a preconceived notion of what that is. They see this, and they see you, and they're like, hard target, tough guy, rough and tumble, this, that, and the other. But then you start opening your mouth and you start displaying kindness, gentleness, peace.
Yep.
You start talking about self-control. You start exuding the fruits of the spirit, and that breaks down everything they ever thought of. But you used that vessel that you've honed into something, a weapon for the eternal and not just a weapon for the physical.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about it to me, right? To be able to do his work that way.
And I think that's something that a lot of us need to understand and take with us. Like after we exit the military, you don't have to get rid of the warrior.
Right.
Like, he's still a vital aspect of yourself, of who you are. It'll always be there. What you have to do is find that new mission and be of service to others, that he's more than capable of being there with you.
Right.
You just have to understand that not when you speak to everybody, you don't have to engage with an F-bomb.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, granted, if you're friends, you probably will.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the mantra of the veteran, right? Versus the civilian. As the civilian will I see you in your face and talk trash behind your back. Veterans be nice to you behind your back, but talk trash to your face. Yeah. So, it depends on the background, right? But
heck yeah, man.
It is. But it's so cool talking to vets too, especially ones you put a smile on people's faces, right? Show them really the joy of the Lord that he's blessed me with. But to be able to talk to vets that are hurting, man, love doing that.
Yes.
And because it's so easy to pull on their heartstrings. It's so easy because it all goes back to everything that we all went through. So, and just to realize, look, guy, gal, you've got purpose. And you have to go at that purpose for whatever it is you've been given gifts. What is it you loved? What is it that you were good at in the craft that you had? Because you've already got the hardcore mentality. It's already there, right? Now it's, okay, are you going to go cry on your cornflakes and go internal? Or are you going to start playing team ball, thinking about other people and using the gifts and everything that you've learned and gotten over a lifetime of, suffering, or 4 years or whatever it is that you served? And it's a choice. Are you going to cave? Or are you going to help?
Yep.
One or the other. And you can thrive and you will thrive, but you have to want to.
Absolutely.
Because the thing that everybody worries about is that once they step off the train keeps going and then they think they're alone. Right? Well, the devil wants you to think you're alone too. You're not. You're never alone because Christ is always walking with you. You don't realize that because you're looking around for other people. People are going to fail you no matter what. Christ will never fail you. Right? What I'm saying, though, is that you haven't lost your tribe. You're just looking for another one. And guess what?
Yes.
You're not the only vet. You're not the only vet. Go find another one that was in your community. They're out there, right? There's with social media. All you got to do is put up the bat signal and somebody's going to show.
Yep. It's so true. And a great place to start is grabbing a cup of coffee and explore faith together, man.
Yep.
Brotherhood through Christ. You'll be amazed at the amount of people that are willing to sit down with you, break bread, and help you get through something. Because that's something that every veteran shares, that purpose and the identity after they leave.
Yeah.
And head into it, go into it head first, dive into that, explore that identity, explore that purpose, and don't wait to the last minute, man. Like, start going into that as soon as you're going to be ETSing, and explore all the other pillars that you need to work on. I will tell you, when you make that exit and you're fully prepared, it's a lot better. And the argument can be said you'll never be fully prepared, but you'll be, a little bit more prepared than the guys before you and after you if you focus on building all three of those pillars. Yeah. Tommy, I can't thank you enough for being here, brother. People want to check you out or get a hold of you. Where can they go?
Yeah, so you can hit me up on the website at www.divinesavagery.com. You can email me, Tommy@divinesavagery.com. I'm on LinkedIn as Tommy Richardson, and IG if you want to hit that up and see some lifting stuff at raise.your.horn.
Heck yeah. Tommy, thank you so much for being here, and for everybody tuning in, thank you for coming along. Do us a favor, head on over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Give us a share, like, and a follow. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you all next time. Till then, take care.